Eritrea, a media blackout, a journalist's nightmare. Eritrea is Africa's worst black hole for journalists, the press, and freedom of speech. The World Press Freedom Index ranked Eritrea for decades the last of 180 countries behind China and North Korea. The Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, designated Eritrea the most censored country in the world. Reporters Without Borders, RSF, has similarly put it at the top of the world ranking for worst offenders of press freedom. A UN inquiry commission calls it a country ruled by fear. Since its independence in 1991, Eritrea has never held national elections. It has no legislative body after the Transnational Assembly was arbitrarily and unofficially dissolved in 2002. Eritrea has no constitution. The 1997 ratified constitution has never been implemented and was officially declared dead by the regime. Civic society and political parties are banned. President Isaias Afwerki, who ruled the country since 1991, unelected, continues to terrorize the people through arbitrary detention, disappearance, torture, and indefinite forced military conscription. Internet is restricted and there is no data service in the country. Adult young people and students are not allowed to have their own mobile phones. The exiled media like ERISAT, Eritrean Satellite Television, are trying to shine a light through the massive media blackout by utilizing shortwave radio and satellite TV broadcasting. When the country came out of a 30-year bloody war in 1991, there was so much hope after it officially declared its independence in 1993, as a constitution-making process was launched. In 1996, a press law was proclaimed, paving the way for media freedom. Soon after, independent newspapers began to emerge. The privately owned newspapers heralded a new era of freedom of expression in the brand new nation with a constitution in the making to enshrine those freedoms and rights. By 2001, 8 independent newspapers with growing circulation were operating in the country, albeit under constant restriction, censorship, and harassment. The 8 newspapers, ቀስተ ደመና, መቃለህ፣ ዘመን፣ ሰቲት፣ ጸገናየ፣ ሳሊና, ዊንታና, and Admas. መድኃኒ ኃይለ፣ ስዩም ፀሐየ፣ ዳዊት ሀብተ ሚካኤል፣ ተመስገን ገብረ ኢየሱስ፣ አማኑኤል አስራት፣ ዳዊት ኢሳቅ፣ ማቴዎስ ሀብተአብ፣ ፍስሐየ፣ ጆሹዋ ዮሐንስ፣ ዩሱፍ ሙሐመድ አሊ፣ ሳይድ አብዱልካዲር፣ ኢድሪስ አብዱዋረ፣ አሕመድ ኦስማን፣ ሐሚድ ሞሐመድ ሳይድ፣ ጂሚ ኪሚል፣ Mohammed Osman, and many more. In May 1998, only a few years into independence, Eritrea once again was in confrontation with its former foe turned friendly nation Ethiopia about a border dispute. The entire nation is mobilized in the latest border conflict with Ethiopia, which was framed as war for sovereignty and territorial integrity that Ethiopia violated. The deadly border war that cost hundreds of thousands of lives and material destruction ended in 2000 with the signing of Algiers peace agreement between the leaders of Eritrea and Ethiopia. Senior Eritrean government ministers, officials, and members of the now defunct National Assembly calling for reform began to express their views through the fledgling private newspapers. The various interviews the Eritrean government cabinet ministers were giving exposed the internal crisis that the Eritrean president and the cabinet ministers were dealing with. When the call of the ministers and MPs, who were also senior members of the ruling PFDJ organization, for overdue regular meetings of the National Assembly and cabinet fell on deaf ears of the president, they decided to go public through the private newspapers. In September 2001, the simmering political crisis escalated when President Isaias arrested 11 of the prominent reformist leaders known as G15 and shut down all independent newspapers. Subsequently, security agents began arresting editors and journalists of the independent newspaper. Neither the journalists nor members of the G15 were ever formally charged with any crime nor brought to any court of law. No one, including their family members, know whether they are dead or alive. No visitation, no justice. 22 plus years later, their families and human rights defenders are asking, where are the Eritrean journalists who were kidnapped from the streets, workplaces, or homes in September 2001?